Hi. I would like to ask, do you know what sport is about? Sport. Of course you know. Of course you know, because even I think you practice sports every day, or maybe professionally, or maybe in amateur level. And what about esports? Do you know what esport is? What is all about? Do you play? Just for your common understanding, I use the term esports, and that meaning e-games, electronic games, video games, all this stuff, even board games. So, do you play? Yeah? Your friends are playing? So you know all about that. So, but I think you will learn something new. Today I will speak in two models, in two roles. First, I will speak about esports as an expert of sport policy and governance, very serious person. And the second role, I will speak as a father of 4 kids which love playing esports, and as a parent, it's really hard to understand and how to cope with that. Should I fight, limit somehow, or should I find another way? I think you heard, maybe most of you heard the old song, "Video killed the radio star." Yeah, you know that. This song is about the changes in society, which we always, it's not good for us. I mean, we feel not good with the changes in the construct of our society in terms of technology, education, culture. So, the same happens in sports now. Sport is a very significant element of our life, with very clear traditions, rules, regulations, autonomy, competition system, organizations. And now this radio star has its own video, eSports. Someone claimed that eSport is new sport. When we speak about traditional sport, we usually speak a lot about the values to be active, to stay healthy. You know the guy, Thomas Bach, president of International Olympic Committee, he said once that task of the sport and physical education is to bring off potatoes couch off the couch. And if we take averagely and you think for ourselves, esports is considered to do quite an opposite. So how those two survive? What is sport? This is the activity which is, and the industry, which stretches in the blurry mist of all times. Some sport were developed 24 centuries ago. Ancient Greeks and Romans practiced sport. The revival of traditional sport as we understand now was in 19th century. So for more than 150 years, traditional sport had the fancy to develop on its own path, making its own mistakes, learning from them, with very moderate approach from the society. It was allowed to make its own mistakes. Of course, it includes robust systems of autonomy, regulation, teams, clubs, competition. We practice our self-sport. We also go and watch sport as entertainment. supporting our athletes, teams, national teams, clubs. And despite occasional, I could say, question mark, corruption and integrity scandals, doping as well, we perceive sport as a positive, and we love it. And what about esports? Strange thing, even the term esport has different terminology. Someone write esports with a E capital in the middle. C capital in the middle. Some starts with E with the capital. Some put the dash between E and S, E dash sports. Some use E games. So terminology is vast. And it makes very messy. And the words matter. I usually, when I speak about esports, just it means a lot how society perceives esport. I use the abbreviation AOA. If you go to ordinary psychologist and ask question about the esport, usually the answer will be aggression, obesity, and addiction, right? Nothing positive, very stigmatized, with no possibility just to change it, right? And if you take the same question to the parent whose kids playing esport, and the average answer will be, I don't understand. I do not know how to cope with that. I would like to minimize that, but I'm not sure how to do that. Sometimes it seems for me that it is disease, but is it treatable? And of course, World Health Organization did no good, including the gaming disorder into the official list of the diseases without clear evidence. Well, the picture is not so bright. Maybe just take another example, how we can role model about that. Usually it has some characteristics of isolation and unhealthy lifestyle. Usually when we think about esport, we see kid or teenager sitting in the room, playing e-games, eating pizza, drinking sugar drinks. Yeah? It's absolutely no role model. But sometimes we hear, time to time, that some guys are making big money from that. Huge revenues are around that. Together with the scandals of doping match fixing at the same time. This burgeoning industry with the potential of 15–20% annual growth, it has enormous threats of unregulated industry. And of course, risks. And maybe traditional sport could help. Yes, we hear time to time that some consultations from traditional sport organizations started to approach this phenomenon called esport. But their attitude is a little bit tricky. Just the survey conducted around the leaders of top sport organizations, the governors of sport, only 10% of the guys who deals with sport and how the sport should look like in the future said, okay, esport should be considered as sport. 10%. Others, 90%, they just deal with that. And deal with the same decision-making process which brought them 150 years of the evolution. And eSport doesn't have this fancy to have this enormous time. As a professional, as an academician, I will have the perfect possibility to observe within 5-10 years window sport Darwinism in practice. This time frame will take the eSport to develop. So what in reality traditional sports want from the eSports? They want population, fan base. Do you know what the fan base of eSports is? The fan base, according to the report of Deloitte, 600 million. And the turnover, revenues are predicted only for the professional of eSport, pinnacle of the all eSport, which will be $1.5 billion in 2020. Huge numbers. Audience. The biggest part of the eSports audience is 18-35 years old. This is the data from US. And you know what is the average of soccer in US? The average of the audience, average age of the audience in US? 40. American football, most popular sport in America, 50. Come on, their audience is getting old. And what it means for the sport? They are going to maybe extinct. There are plenty of examples of sports extinction in history. Just Google, there were a sport, tug of war, rope pulling. This sport was prominent because it was in the official Olympic game program in the beginning of 20th century. No one knows that. No one knows that kind of sport. So, in reality, traditional sport needs more eSport than eSport needs traditional sport. But I need to stop here speaking as academician and an expert in the field, just because I think this is time to speak me as a father. I really wanted, knowing all the facts and observing what is happening around, I tried to figure out how I should approach the issue, trying not to be and behave as a guy who wants to fight the monster my kids love and to try to demonize it. And you know, I remembered my childhood. Believe me or not, I played chess for 8 years and didn't practice any other sport. How it could be? Chess, as you know, it is the mind game calculating the history of 18 centuries. So it could be considered as the ancient game of electronic games, yes? Correct? I really appreciate I had a very brilliant coach. He didn't change the process. He chose to change he didn't change the game itself. He chose to change the process, how kids are taught playing chess. The practical sessions of chess were intertwisted with the active leisure and active gaming with the ball in the gym or outside playing football or basketball. Every day, our school lesson started with 0th PE lesson, and twice a week we went to the swimming pool. We were fit. It was a perfect balance of mind and body. We loved that as kids. And in addition, we were champions of Lithuania 5 years in a row. Recent research shows that eSports are are not bringing only negative for the development of a person. It also gives a lot of positive influence about the communication skills, about the decision making, about the community making, even brings jobs. It's not like a passive sitting and watching TV. It makes you to enforce and to activate decision making, analytical decision making, and enrich the person's abilities and also brings new competencies. It's not only bad things with the esports what matters. So the thing is that we need to change not the game, but to change our attitude and our negativity towards esports. We should monitor, integrate, moderate. Instead of AOA, use MIM. Maybe we should include it in the curriculum as chess did with other activities, and to have the perfect balance of the things we did before and the things esports brings to us. Another point. We usually look at new things with some kind of disbelief. And also, it's kind of leaving a comfort zone. And more important is that if a parent, if our kid, for example, or our brother or sister wants to take ballet or basketball, traditional sports, what parents or adults do? They get involved. So, we need to get involved into eSport because we cannot trust the things we don't understand. And believe me, eSport is the last thing we do understand. Because in technology age, usually young generation is a step beyond of us. So we need to be proactive and at least to catch up with them. Instead of fighting, limiting, trying to take no attention to that, I think it's time to embrace eSport. Because it's new normal. Willing or not, it will be the future of sport. And it's absolutely okay. If we as society accepted the things such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, automation, robotization, if we consider that there is normal, if the industry of taxi has no taxi fleet, if the media hugest company has no content, the biggest hotel chain has no its premises, Airbnb, sorry for advertising. So I think it's time to accept eSport as new normal. So the first thing you will do, go back home and start playing with your brothers, sisters, kids, and I really think you will enjoy that. Thank you.